Welcome, everyone. I'm Carl Azus for CNN 10. There are 9 countries in the world that are believed to have nuclear weapons, and 2 of them, which happen to be neighbors, have just had a flare-up in their rivalry. We're talking about the South Asian countries of India and Pakistan. Other governments are asking them to show restraint to try to calm down their tensions. Earlier this month, there was a suicide car bomb attack on Indian soldiers in a territory controlled by India. 40 troops were killed. India says a terrorist group based in Pakistan is responsible, and it accuses Pakistan of supporting the attack. Pakistan says it had nothing to do with the bombing, but on Tuesday, India launched airstrikes in Pakistani territory for the first time in almost 50 years. India says it was targeting a camp run by the terrorist group. Then on Wednesday, Pakistan says its Air Force shot down 2 Indian fighter jets that had flown over territory Pakistan says it controls. India confirmed it had lost 1 plane, but said it had shot down a Pakistani jet too. We don't know exactly what happened with the planes, but we can tell you about a problem that's existed between these 2 countries for years. It's a dispute over a territory named Kashmir. It's located on the northern borders of Pakistan and India. Both nations control parts of Kashmir, but both nations claim that the entire territory should be theirs. It's by no means a new dispute. It's caused fighting and wars between them for decades, including the violence that we've seen this week.
They're neighbors with a shared history but a fractured present. 70 years ago, British rulers sliced a giant Indian empire into 2 countries, a new Hindu-majority India and Pakistan, home to mostly Muslims. From the 18th century through independence, the British Empire in India stretched from Afghanistan in the west to Burma in the east. But by the 1940s, anti-colonial sentiment swelled in many British colonies around the world, including India. Demands for India's independence grew, led by freedom fighters Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who favored a separate state for India's Muslim minorities. India was burning. Communal tensions between Hindus and Muslims spiraled out of control. Calls to end British rule were reaching boiling point. On the back of a costly Second World War, Britain lacked the will and the means to defeat the independence movement. Britain decided to quit India. In March 1947, naval officer Lord Mountbatten was appointed the Viceroy of India to oversee the handover of power. He assigned British lawyer Cyril Radcliffe to draw the partition line. In just 6 weeks, he finalized a plan to divide India along religious lines. There would be a new India, a secular India, though it's where the Hindu majority would live, and a separate country called Pakistan for Muslims. On midnight of August 14, 1947, the British Empire officially transferred power to India and Pakistan. After nearly 2 centuries of colonial rule, India became a sovereign nation, and Pakistan was born. Jinnah became head of the newly formed Pakistan. Nehru became the first Prime Minister of India.
At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
The partition saw one of the largest human migrations the world has ever seen. Millions of Hindus and Sikhs living in Pakistan headed to India. Millions of Muslims migrated to Pakistan. In trains, bullocks, on foot. In a matter of months, at least 10 million people moved across the borders. At least 1 million Hindus, Muslims and Sikhs died in communal attacks as they crossed the border. Tens of thousands of women and girls were abducted, families were divided. 24 years later, in 1971, the east wing of Pakistan split away to become a separate country called Bangladesh. The west side remained as present-day Pakistan. India and Pakistan have fought 4 wars since 1947, mostly fueled by disputes over the northern Himalayan state of Jammu and Kashmir. Both countries claim it in its entirety, but only control parts of it. Though both sides have attempted to restore peace many times, they remain hostile, nuclear-armed neighbors even today. Malika Kapoor, CNN, Amritsar, India.
10-second trivia. Which of these landmarks would you find in Yosemite National Park? Chimney Rock, Landscape Arch, Crater Lake, or El Capitan? El Cap, as it's also known, is a famous feature of California's Yosemite National Park. It's 3,200 feet tall, its walls are just about vertical. It was once believed to be impossible to climb, but that changed in the late 1950s, according to Encyclopedia Britannica, when an expedition to install pitons and drilling holes for ropes helped a climber named Warren Harding make his way up El Capitan. 2 years ago, history on the mountain was made again when a 33-year-old climber free soloed, meaning climbed it without any ropes. As CNN.com puts it, if he slips, he falls. If he falls, he dies. The film that won this year's Academy Award for Best Documentary was based on this climb.
When I know what I'm doing and I'm climbing well, then it feels meditative and very relaxing and beautiful. But if I don't know what I'm doing and I start to hesitate, start to get scared, then it can be a nightmare. Typically, watching free soloing is scarier than doing it, because when you're doing the climb, you know how comfortable you feel, you know how in control you feel. Whereas when you're watching, you have no idea how the person feels, and so you kind of fear the worst. Then you drive up off the left foot into the thumb press. That's the worst hold on the entire route, so you get maybe half your thumb on the hold. As it turned out, when I had the experience, it was probably good that it was so high off the ground, because I had done so much, I was so deeply in the zone, I guess. I was basically performing so well that by the time I got there, I felt incredible, and I just executed it perfectly. Basically, the last 500 or 600 feet, the last 200 meters get easier and easier as you go, and so it really feels like you're sort of sprinting to the finish line, and it's like beautiful, and you're just like, oh, this is so nice. You can sort of like relax more as you get closer and enjoy it more as you get closer to the top. And so when I came over the summit, I was just like, this is awesome. Yeah, it was incredible. It is definitely a physical challenge to climb El Cap, but compared to the standards of the day, the challenge isn't really physical, or the main challenge isn't physical for free soloing El Cap. It's definitely a bigger mental challenge than physical. I think regardless of the film, regardless of any media accompanying it, at some point I can just have a picnic with my family, look at the wall and be like, that is the wall that I climbed once. Like that's, it's just, it's deeply satisfying.
In Japan, there's a restaurant that challenges you to eat more noodles than you thought possible. The small bowls of soba noodles are refilled as soon as you eat what's inside, and this lady managed to take down 300 bowls of them. That's the equivalent of 20 regular-sized bowls of noodles, so any way you do the math, it's a lot, y'all. The restaurant says its record was set when someone ate 570 small bowls, or about 38 regular bowls of soba in one sitting. Finding someone to break that record would be like finding a noodle in a haystack. Critics might call that glutinous. Supporters might say it's worth waiting for. But if you're up for a challenging bowl game and you're bringing a souped-up appetite, it's tough to beat a lunch that's all you can eat. I'm Carl Jesus, and that's CNN.